Hello guys and welcome to the video. So today we're going to be doing kind of like a lightning round for the menu, the UI settings, the shortcuts and the hotkeys in BDO. And the game kind of explains to you some of these ones as you go along, but not all. And my hopes is that by the end of the video, newer players and beginners would be able to utilize this to increase their quality of, day-to-day gameplay. And just a short disclaimer that this is more intended for newer players and beginners, so I might leave some of the details out, but I will try my best to go over all of the essential ones as we go. You can open up the menu by hitting escape, and it can be open on the left side, and you can change it on the right side. And you could also switch to the old menu, and this would have all of the buttons available at a glance, and you don't have to go through the menu type of the new menu. Next one on our list is the menu. So this is the shortcut bar, and there is also the recently used. So all you have to do is click on this one, the gear, and it would let you change any of these ones into the one of your choice. So for example, I have over here the die window, and if I want to replace that and replace it with the mail, I could do so, or the attendance reward, and save it. And when I click on that one, it would open up that part. On this section, we're going to talk about the menu items and how to lock them here on the right side of the menu, so you will be able to access them easily. And the first section we're going to talk about is the information. If you go to number 1, the BDO wiki, this would have the patch notes, and this is fairly useful for new players and advanced players because you could just click on this one and you could browse all of the changes that happen. It also covers the last week changes and also the known issues. So the next one is the Hotkey Help, which is also in the BDO wiki window. If you click on that one, it would show you the buttons that is associated to a menu item. Also in the information is the crafting notes. So when you press this one, it would open up the crafting notes window, and this has majority, if not all, of the new items, because sometimes when there's newer items that comes out, it's not gonna appear here right away, and we have to wait for an update. And another thing that you could do is when you click on this sticker UI, it would bring your window into a separate window. It's not going to be appearing in any of your BDO screen, and you could drag it outside of your screen. So that is very useful if you just want to keep it open and you want to have a quick access to it. And before we continue, you can see on the recently used, the ones that we have accessed, and what you could do is right click that one and lock the menu. What would happen is it would pin that certain item into your shortcut list, and it is easily accessible once you hit escape, and it's going to be there all the time. So for the escape, it's also available on your shortcut bar. And this one, if you get stuck, so for example, if you're going to a place and you get stuck and you cannot move, then what you can do is go to the menu and hit that one. It would ask you if you really want to escape. Remember that this has a cooldown and cannot be used in quick successions. And what it would do is it would load you to another safe location. So now let's go to the map, and this is one of my favorite parts. I just want to show you some techniques that you could use as a new player. When you go to the world map, you could see your nodes, and you could right click onto it, right? And sometimes that there are some unmarked locations in the map that you cannot go to without the markers. So for example, the feather wolves, where I hunt a lot, I could just right click onto it and I could do the save location, and I could just type in for example F wolves. So it would now go to my favorites that is part of my search NPC, and that is located over here at the top on the left side of the map. And when you click here and you see this one, then I could check the position and it would bring me to that marker. The next thing that is very useful for the map is the auto loop. So if you are horse training and you want to go from point A to point B in a loop, then you could do so. And you could just hold Alt and you could set the path to there, as you can see here, and then just like loop it back to the normal one, and you could save it. So for example, this one I'm gonna save it as number 1. And what I could do is, like, if for example I decide to not do it and do something else and I want to load that again, I could do the retrieve looped auto path over here at the bottom and press, like, you know, this number 1, load it, and it would set me to that loop. And this is fairly useful for keeping your loops if you're training for stamina too. So one last thing for the maps is the find NPC, or the magnifying glass that appears on the left side of the map. This can also be found at the bottom right side of the world map, and when you click on it, there's 3 things. So the favorites we've already discussed, so you could just like right click and save your location. So for example, we're saving this 1, 2, 3, and it would navigate to that place. The first one though is the one that's most useful for beginners, and if you want to find some certain NPCs, like for example you want to find where Alustin is at when you want to exchange for any energy potions, then you could type so here, and you could just like scroll up and down to find where they are, and you can click on them and it would auto navigate to that one, and you could just hit T and it will just run to that NPC. So whenever you want to find where the workers are at or the materials, it auto pass to the nearest one. But if you want to have a specific one searched, then you have to type it in. And this one is one of the things that, you know, new players have to keep in mind. If you're asking where to grind at a specific AP, then you could just go to find NPC hunting grounds and you could navigate to it. One thing about this one is it doesn't mean that if you have, you know, 270 AP, or like for example there are some areas that would say like you have 250 AP, that, you know, like your DP could also be the same. No, your DP, like, you know, levels have to be significantly higher than your AP in order to survive in this area. So I would suggest to look up on that one too if you are interested in some specific areas, but this is one good way to find where you're gonna be grinding next. So also in relation to that one is the item drop, and once you've located the you know, the AP levels that you are at, then you could go to that specific spot and see what they drop. So for example, you found that, you know, I want to grind at Product Cave, so these are the items that, you know, drops for them. And as you can see, you know, it also displays like the value, what they do, and you could just like hit navigate and you will be on your way to that spot. So the next most useful one is the boss notification under adventure, and you could set your notifications to fire at 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and 30 minutes before the boss, and you could maintain the notification to set. And once you do that, once the boss is going to pop out at 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, and the actual spawn, then it would appear on the right side. So let's now go to my favorite function. And also on the function menu, you could find the find NPC we just talked about. And the one I'm talking about is the Notepad. So as you can see here, like, you could put any notes that you would want and it would stick on your board, like on your screen. So when I close this one out, it would still be there. And if I want to add, like, you know, anything over here, like for example like that, and if I save, it would just be there. So even if I move and go around and stuff, like, that note would still be there. So if you want to have, like, you know, a reminder or anything that you would do for a daily, so like for example, when I was out of town and I wanted to be reminded of my dailies when I got back, I have this one over here and I just, like, you know, leave it over there. So it's kind of like a sticky for, you know, the Windows, and it's very useful for, you know, beginners and advanced people alike. Another thing is, if you have a kid around or if you have family members that are looking at your chat, You could also go to chat filters and hide out words. And what would happen is if you have a filtered word that gets typed in, the whole message would not be displayed. So this is very good if you want to avoid certain topics or certain discussion, and sometimes world chats can get heated. So this is one way to kind of protect yourselves from other people reading your chat, or for you personally if you want to avoid some discussions. The next one, and we're nearing the end of the menu, is the use coupons. So if there's any codes that are given out by Pearl Abyss and the partners, you will be able to enter it here, and it will be delivered to your mailbox as indicated over here. And this is very helpful for people that are trying to claim a lot of codes, catching up. You don't have to go to the site and log in. You can just directly use it from inside the game. And the next one is the support. So this one, when you click it, it opens up a window that has the facts and also lets you submit a ticket. So as I want to as a warning for newer players that sometimes the response takes days, and sometimes just hours. So it varies from person to person, and it really depends upon the Pearl Abyss support team on their response time. So they really don't have an ETA for that one. The next one is the item restore. So if there's any item that you deleted that is essential to you and it appears here, you could just click on it and restore. And as a notice over here, if there's an item that is not available with this system, you could contact support, and they've helped me quite a few times on those items. So for example, I accidentally deleted one of my gems, and I really wanted to restore it. It didn't appear over here. So I sent them a ticket, told them that I accidentally deleted it, and they were able to restore it back to me. But as I said, experience may differ, and the GM that helped me was able to restore that within a day. And lastly on our menu is the adventure support notice. So you don't have to go to the main site to see the events. You could just click on here and it will give you the full event information, and majority of the information would be here. The only problem is, why I said majority, is because some of the videos does not play over here, because this browser cannot play YouTube videos for some reason. So you have to go to the main site if there is any that you would want to see. But majority of the times the events have just pictures and tables, so you could just go over here and quickly browse all of these ones without leaving the game. So now let's go to the settings on your menu, and what you can do over here is click on the switch, which is also available on the preset on your shortcuts. And what it does, it lets you change servers. So for example, you're having some issues in regards to the Elvia realm, because those ones needs at least 270 and up when you're doing the quest. And if you're a new player, you are required to go to Glish, to Orc Camp, and then also some parts of the bandits. Then you won't be able to, especially the Bloody Monastery. You will just die right away if you go over there to do the quest. So you could change that, the server that you are currently on. And if you click on this hide server details and view server details, you could see the description of each server, so you don't go to the ones that are gonna be kind of difficult for you. So for example, the first servers, these are reserved for node wars, and if you are not node warring, then and if for some reason you're trading, then you can get killed, and you will lose all of your items. So that's just another warning for newer players, that try to stay within 2 to 6 as much as possible. As you can see here, that there can be wars over there where monsters doesn't spawn and active PvP is going on. The next one on our list is the disconnect. So it's also over here. You can go to the setting and hit number 6. It would let you change characters depending on where you want to go. So currently I have alts that I go to for my alt grinding for my rifts, for my sailings, and also for my boss alts. So this is where you could go and switch to those people. You could also select character selection and also do server change over here. And the other one is minimizing to tray, which sets BDO to your tray, but it's still active. This is especially useful if you're doing AFK activities, so you don't consume too much resources. Another thing that you could do is click on a character when you are on another toon and click on this bag, and it shows you what equipment the characters has, the crystals, the pearl items, and also the inventory items. So if you're trying to find an item that is currently equipped, or is currently loaded into one of your toons, then you could go ahead and just go into next character to next character to show and display the items that they currently have. So if you're trying to look for some items that kind of got lost, then you could use this one. So before we go to the actual setting, I want to go over one of my favorite things in BDO, and that is the hotkeys. So you could go to setting and quick hotkeys, and this kind of covers all of the important things that you do, majority on the game. So for example, you want to open up your storage, you can do Alt S, and if you want to open up your made central marketplace, I have it at Alt M, and it opens it up for me, and it's fairly easy. So if I want to transfer some of my items, I could do so, or retrieve some of them. And the other one is the install campsite, which is installing of the campsite. So this is like, if you don't have this one yet, you don't have to worry, you could research on this one later. You could do so like this, and if you want to remote, and I could use the Alt Y, so pick up your camp, yes. So one thing you could do is, like, if you see the press to set on any of these one, you could just click and assign it. So it makes your life a lot easier. So for example, I just want to have my repair campsite when I have my gear broken when grinding. I could just press Alt T, Alt R, and it would bring me to the repair. So that makes my life, a lot easier. Another one is if I want to change pets. So as you can see, I have my dragons out, and I want to change to my life skill one, then it's as easy as Alt 1. If I want to switch to my condensed area grinding, and I could just switch to Alt 3, and you can see over there it changed. And if I want to kind of hide all of my pets, and that is Alt P, then it hides all of my pets. So this is very helpful when you're just going about and you just want to quickly change pets without going to the pet window. Another thing is for the find NPC that we know, I've said, instead of going to this one, you can just press Alt N and it will be available, going to the favorites, and it makes lives a lot easier. And the last one is, for your presets. So if you want to change your settings, so like this might take time and might crash my recording, so I'm not gonna do that. So but if you have a preset of 1 2 3 on your UI, which is going to be discussed a little bit later, then you could do so here too. The next thing we're gonna tackle is the actual setting. So if you go to the settings, or over here on the shortcut bar, you would go over here. So one thing that you could instantly do is change your settings. So if you're farming, or if you're having some frame drop, then you could lower your specs, and you could also increase it. So this is just a one-click setting, and this is very useful when you're trying to find the right balance of performance versus what you're doing. So currently, like if you're just fishing and you want to relax, you could just like put it on lower specs. If you want to grind and see the effects, you could set it to the high or highest specs depending on your computer hardware. So the next one I'm going to talk about is the alerts, and as you can see here, there's a lot of things that appear on top of the screen, and this distracts a lot of new players. And this is one of the few questions that get asked of me first from my friends that just got into the game. So the way that you would disable this one is going to general settings, and go into alerts, and you could see over here you can uncheck the enhancement fail and successes, which is the one that you are seeing over on the top. And you could disable other life skills, and then the only one that you will be able to see then is your guild's life skill accomplishments. And others is just basically a term for non-guild members. So you could just turn all of these ones off. For the marketplace, I kind of leave that as is, and what would happen is it would disable the notifications on the top. Another of my favorites is the map, because currently it would be on an angle where it would be facing north, and it's kind of hard to scroll sometimes. You would want it to be flat like this one. So what you would do is you would set it at 90 degrees angle and hit apply, and when you open it up it would be flat, and it's much easier to zoom out and see the whole map right away. So the next one is the camera graphics. So when you are going into BDO for the first time, and when you go and attack, you would see there's a lot of shaking, and this one makes a lot of people nauseous. As you can see, it's shaking too much. What you could do is remove the vibrations over here at the camera graphics under the display setting, remove the blur effects, and when you do that, what would happen is your attacks now would be normal. So it won't shake your screen, and there's no vibration. It's just the up and down, and it's really helpful, especially for me. I kind of get dizzy on long grind session with that vibration on. So when I found out this setting, this helped me a lot, and I'm thankful that I found this one, honestly. One last thing that I wanted to show is the show and hide under the general setting. You could hide your nameplate so that when you're recording, or if you're going around and you don't want it floating around your head, then you could go ahead and disable it. And it could also be applied to other adventurers. So if you're in the town and you just want to get a good shot, or a good montage of you walking around and stuff like that, then you could go ahead and do so. And another thing that you could do is disable your pets, so there won't be appearing on your screen. Hide your fairy too. And also the most important one is hiding other people's campsite, because there are some events where they can deploy it, like for example the current fishing event that is happening, and if you don't want your screen to be bogged by tents, you could disable it. So now let's go over to the UI, and this would be the last topic of our video. You could click it over here on the shortcut bar, or also in the settings. And one thing that I would recommend is for older style MMO players is the custom HP bar. So when you check this one, what happens, it gives you the liberty to move your HP bar around, your stamina bar, and some of the items that exclusive to those characters. So for example, the striker for the martial spirit shard, and also the PvP button. So I could save this over here and save it to any presets, and it would give me this bar. So as for me, I like this one style instead of looking at the top left part of the screen for my HP. And I could also adjust this one a little bit higher. For example, there's some situation that I kind of monitor my health and monitor my SP, MP, or WP depending on the character. Then this is very, very nice. And then the next one on my list for things to show is the buff list. So I move it over here on the left side so that the buffs that I am using is on this cropped mode area. So you could do that by going to settings and typing in crop mode, and this would give you the option to kind of disable the crop. It would set your screen from full screen without the bars, or you could also apply this one over here. I kind of like it just a little bit high, so that it kind of gives me a dramatic effect, if you and it kind of gives you a movie style effect. So what I do over here there is I move the items for for example my quick slots. I have it over here, and I have it sometimes hidden, sometimes active, depending on my character. So this character is like mostly just my questing character, and I don't really have much items that I have quick slotted on him, so it doesn't really matter. But if you want to rearrange it, then you could do so. Just make sure that you go to the quick slots and have this one checked, so you could move this around. So the next one on my list is the chats. So if you are new, make sure that you go to the chat window setting and activate the guild, because this one is not activated by default. So you know, when newer players come and join our guild, they don't respond, is because they don't have this check, and it's only active on tab 3, which is kind of, you know, not intuitive for newer players, because they don't really know what these are. So what I do normally is I go to edit UI, I move this on to the right side, just on top of the menu buttons, and then I go ahead and save this one, so that I can have two chat windows that I have active. And this one I could have as my, you know, just the guild and just the whispers, and on the right side could be anything else from the server group, combat, and stuff like that. So you could play around with this one as you see fit. And one other thing too that you could do is you could have these ones separate by clicking this one, and it would go to the middle one though. So what you would do now is go to edit UI and move it, save it again, and you would have your chat window, you know, for your guild separate. The next one on my list is the cooldown for your skills. So these are the ones that can be placed as a heart shape majority of the time that I see on some streamers, and they put it near their character so they could see which skills are in cooldown. So the way that you activate this one is by hitting K and going here at the bottom, skilled cooldown slots, and click on the items that you would want to be set for those cooldown ones, edit UI, and it would be visible. So you could do the presets and save it over there, and it would be available, you know, depending on where you have placed them. The last one that I do is I disable the skill guide, because, you know, we don't really need that. And the kill notification, we just set it on the side. And what I do normally next is I set this mount over here on the top, and it would display it on here, and it's kind of more aesthetically pleasing for me. I don't know about like other players, they still want it here on the left side, but I just want my UI clean. And this kind of gives me, you know, like a better clean, you know, a clean version of, you know, the UI, and I really love it. You know, it doesn't irritate me at all, and it's much more simpler than for me, because I have them all in hotkeys. And last but not the least is our maps. So you could also hide this one, and you could also hide your location. So if you're streaming, this is very useful. And you could also hide the function buttons, and majority of these ones I don't use, so I do go ahead and hide them, and I just set it to previous one, and that's it. Like, you know, it makes my UI super clean, you know, at least for me. And what you could do is, you know, mix and match, find the one that works for you, and set them into preset 1, 2, 3. And as I've shown before on the settings, you could assign them to quick hotkeys, so you can change in between, you know, easily. So guys, that is it, and I hope that this has helped, you know, the newer players or the beginners, or also the intermediate players. And as I've said before, that, you know, experience may vary, so if you want to experiment and, you know, find the settings that is working for you, then go ahead. And I really recommend to find something that you are happy with, because you're the one that's going to be staring at your screen for, you know, for hours on end. And thanks so much guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video.